own it.
I know I'm not nearly as engaging as you are, but I hope I didn't put
No,
it
that's
sleep
true.
yet.
That's not true at all. And I want to say it's true that we have had a lot of regulars, people who have shown up year after year after year, which is awesome. It's mostly because I owe them money, which is, so the virtual format really works in my favor this year, a lot less physical violence. So that's great. But thanks to everyone for showing up. And I want to reiterate what Olga said. We have space here. I think we have like 7 people signed up right now. So if you want to sign up, please, we've got the room. And if we have extra time, people can give a second shot. So if you do your thing and 5 minutes isn't enough, I know I'm planning on doing a kazoo version of the drum solo to Inagata Davida, which is about 18 minutes. I think people really enjoy that for the first 12 milliseconds, and then it kind of drops off. But anyway, so yeah, if you want to do something, that's great. And stick around. We used to have a sing along at the end in our live performances. It really doesn't work over Zoom very well, but we do kind of have a theme song that we end on. So hopefully you'll stick around and like at least hum on your own. And as I'm trying to think if there's anything. Oh yeah, just one last thing is my internet has been, as they say in England, pants all day long. So if I should drop off by any chance, Olga can take over, Emma can take over, and please just tell my family that I love them. I'm sorry, the internet. Okay. So one of the traditions we do have is that I usually start out completely with something I haven't rehearsed or tried to do, because I feel if I fail first, it gives you guys a little more confidence. So I'm going to try to fail at something here, but it's very short, so it won't take a lot of your time to. In other words, if you really want some Schadenfreude, pay attention now. Okay. So anyway. Why don't we do it without masks? Why don't we do it without masks? I think we've both been vaxxed. Get off your things and get unpacked. I don't even like to ask. Why don't we do it without masks? That was an R 7th chord, if anyone was trying to follow along there, that last one. All right, so you can see the level of talent required to be on this call. And I actually have a ditty or two other that I might throw in there later. So why don't we get started? Our first victim, sorry, still in the How Word Festival mode. First victim is Michael. Michael, are you with us today?
I'm here, hi.
Rock and roll. All right, so what I have, we asked everyone to give a little bit of info and ask you about like majors and so on and so forth. So it's kind of interesting looking at the people who signed up. We have about 5 or 6 people from the math and science department, 1 poli-sci person, which is Michael, and then like 1 history of art person. So clearly the people who majored in the sciences are the ones going, really, honestly, I have art talent. So like, I want to get it out. So, but it's cool to have somebody from poli-sci, which is practically a real major and everything. And Michael, you said that the soundtrack to your life was I Am the Walrus. You don't mean that like literally, like you have, can you hold up your hands? I want to see you don't have slippers or anything like that. All right, awesome. All right, so tell us a little bit about what you're going to do here.
I'm reading poetry. Poet first. And these are killer poet poems. And killer poet poems are persona poems. They're kind of inspired by Marvin Bell and his Dead Man poems. Persona poems, of course, are a chance for the poet to slip into some aspect of a persona and inhabit that being, even if it's a creepy being. The killer poet is somewhat creepy, but interesting.
Well, I think the theme for this year was creepiness. So this really fits in. Hopefully everybody will be doing something that's kind of disturbing and unsettling. Did you come up with the concept of the killer poem, or is that?
Yes, yeah. Actually, I wrote a book called The Killer Poet's Guide to Immortality. And then and that was before I wrote Killer Poet Poems. I was just the character. And then I got a grant to write Killer Poet Poems. So your tax dollars at work.
Well, awesome. As long as the same number of people end this call as started, I have no issue with the killer poetry thing. So this was awesome. So without further ado, Michael, take it away. Give us some killer poems.
Thank you. So this is for Emma and any new graduate. It's called It's Not the Destination. The killer poet gives the commencement address at a major university. He reveals the sexual indiscretions of the president with the bursar and a goat. The organizers shift uneasily. Nobody actually gives a shit what you think, he tells the graduates. In 20 years, you'll be divorced and bitter. Blinded and screaming, the graduates run from the hall to write poetry. According to his calculations, the killer poet has just unraped an entire developing nation. What is one slandered goat in comparison? Creation myth. This gives you an idea of where the killer poet came from. The killer poet creates his very own Facebook page. He invites people to friend him. Nobody accepts his friend requests. He updates his profile. Under religion, he puts satanic vacuuming. Under relationship, he puts married to my voices. He tries to upload cute kitten videos, but a typo results in cat snuff flicks. An avalanche of psycho friends pours in. The killer poet tries to delete his Facebook page. This is now deemed a form of virtual suicide, a third-degree felony, worse than distressing your own genes, but not as bad as poetry in a Starbucks. The killer poet is arrested, charged with sociopathic networking. He tweets guilty as hell with extenuating circumstances, but runs out of characters. He is convicted and sentenced to life in the 21st century. By reason of sanity, he becomes the killer poet. So I'll read one more. This one's called Hey, Mr. Spaceman, and it's inspired by a news item. Thousands fear imminent collision between Earth and planet Nibiru, despite repeated statements by NASA scientists that there is no such planet. Hey, Mr. Spaceman. The killer poet is from the planet Nibiru. He's here to reassure you that Nibiru is real. If you're zatting this poem after 12/21/12, it's due to dyslexic Mayans. If the sense of the verb to zat is clear from context, then you already speak Nibiruian. The killer poet thrives on a diet of marshmallow fluff. He slathers it between his Nibiruian concubine's thighs. Conjoined in ardor, they make a fluffernutter as they plan your doom. The killer poet sneaks into top secret defense bunkers, replaces nerve gas with Ballantine ale. He sneaks into your cerebral cortex, replaces history with nerve gas. Soon the whole country is farting instead of thinking. There is no longer any need to smash his planet into yours. The destruction is already palpable in the ignorance of the people. Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome. When did you write this? Hello?
I muted myself, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I've been writing them pretty much over the last decade or so, yeah.
You know, 40 years ago, it was actually May 18th, graduation. Emma, I don't mean to make you jealous here, but that we all walked outside and saw that Mount St. Helens had exploded. It was kind of like, yeah, that's a good way of celebrating, but there was no goat. I just want to make it clear there was no goat. So I'm feeling like we kind of didn't, Mount St. Helens is great. It's not a goat. Okay. Just failure there. So, do you have, in fact, a Facebook page?
Well, yeah, it's, but A.B. Bard, who is the alternate name, the pen name for the killer poet, does not. He used to have a website, but I got tired of paying for it. And he's a leech. He never sends a check. So, yeah. And but you can find. I've got a website that I pay for, and he's using part of it for the Killer Poet's Guide to Immortality, which is kind of annoying, but what can you do?
Well, I was just wondering if your Facebook page is anything like described in the poem, whether you actually are getting a lot more friends, because the sort of things you described used to be the sort of things you'd say, well, this is why I don't get invited to more parties. But probably in this age, it's actually how you get more Facebook friends. So just kind of curious there. Anyway, awesome poems. I'm impressed that you managed to say the whole country is farting instead of thinking without bringing up the color orange, which was very big for the past 4 years. So awesome on that. Anyway, thanks very much.
I'd like to make a small suggestion that whenever anybody's going to do something funny like that, you ask people to unmute themselves, because I think it'd be only fair to a comedian that they hear the people laughing in the background, because I was laughing uproariously over here. So Michael, you made people laugh. You at least made this person laugh.
Thank you. It was kind of creepy, all that silence.
Yeah, that's got to be like so weird. So just like, you don't need to necessarily announce that you're a comedian, but you could just say like, please unmute. Anyway.
Or if everyone could just write down, I'm laughing, and hold that up on a piece of paper so that we can see that you're a mute. I don't know, Olga, what do you think? I have to say, this is kind of the problem that, like, if you saw, Seth Meyers or Stephen Colbert, they have the same issue, right? I mean, trying to do comedy or any sort of activity over Zoom is pretty much a weird experience.
We could try to unmute at the end of people's presentations if everybody wants to clap, but I don't think we should unmute while people are performing, because you'll miss what people are doing because you're hearing people's reactions. So
also, Olga,
we can try that.
Olga can attest that I had a car alarm going off like seconds before we started here, loud as it could be. It's as I told her, it's actually just my mom. She gets hungry in the afternoons and starts just like honking the horn, and I have to like go out there and bring her food and stuff. But so yeah, background noises can actually be an issue. So not a bad idea, Amy. Let's see how it goes. Does that work? So, okay. All right, let's roll on here. Next is Harvey Blau. I hope I'm saying that right. Harvey, are you with us today?
I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So I'm reading here, it says, the drawing on my Molalla Mudfeet heritage, you play guitar and do folk blues, and a song called Palette on Your Floor, which I thought that was a Carly Rae Jepsen song, actually, so I'm kind of surprised that it isn't. Tell me what Molalla Mudfeet is.
Well, if you'd been at Reed in 1962 or 63, and you would have been quite a prodigy to have done so, you would have encountered a band of miscreants who like to sing and play old-timey country music, sort of Appalachian folk songs, fiddle tunes, banjo tunes. The New Lost City Ramblers were sort of our idols at the time, and so we did that. And in 2008, the alumni office had a good idea. It was get the band back together for reunion. And so we reconvened, 5 out of the 6 of us actually, pretty good turnout, and had a lot of fun.
And where's the name Molalla Mudfeet come from?
Well, Molalla is a town where my parents were actually living at the time that I went to read, about 30 miles southeast of Portland.
Yeah, the Wilsonville Wranglers doesn't really have the same feel to it, so I think you chose well there. All right, so you're gonna do something called. Well, actually, one last question: do you ever like just wake up in the middle of the night, and suddenly singing Tom Dooley? Like, is that like a side effect of doing old timey music or anything like that?
No, actually, funny you should mention Tom Dooley. In high school, the only folk music I was ever familiar with was the Kingston Trio, and their Tom Dooley. And but of course, you know, getting into the authentic stuff, quote unquote, at Reed, I kind of dropped the Kingston Trio behind. But just a couple months ago, as part of my pandemic regimen, I was listening to whatever CDs I could dig up. Those of us who remember what CDs are. And there was a Kingston Trio, actually a pair of Kingston Trio CDs. And, you know, hokey as they were, I had to admire what they were doing. And actually, I owe them a debt because that's how I got interested in folk music in the first place.
Well, awesome. Let's hear what you have, and just I'll mention in passing that when I came to Reed, I also got into the authentic stuff myself and woke up, you know, face down on the SU floor. But that's another story. Anyway, palette on your floor.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, I'd be more than satisfied if I could catch a train and ride. If I get down to Atlanta with no place to go, make me a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it soft, make it low, so my good gal never know you made me a pallet on your floor. These blues is everywhere I see. These blues is everywhere I see. These blues is all around me, they're everywhere I see. Nobody's got these blues like me. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it soft, make it low, so my good gal never know you made me a pallet on your floor. Goodbye, you long-time friends of mine. Goodbye, you long-time friends of mine. When I had $1, you treated me just fine. Where'd you go when I don't have a dime? Make me a pallet on your floor. Make me a pallet on your floor. Make it soft, make it low, so my good gal never know you made me a pallet on your floor. Make it soft, make it low, so my good gal never know you made me a pallet on your floor.
That was awesome. Thank
Great.
you so much. So I think a lot of people are probably wondering right now, what the hell is a pallet?
Well, in this context, it means a bed,
Oh.
like a mattress with a blanket on it, something like that.
Okay, I think a lot of people were envisioning a forklift and kind of going,
Yeah.
that really isn't a happening thing. So, but that was really awesome. And before we leave you, I want to ask one last question. Who did the original, or what version? I assume you didn't write that.
No, Mississippi John Hurt. I don't know if he was the one who actually wrote it, but this traditional Mississippi blues musician made it popular, and all kinds of people have recorded it, from blues to bluegrass, and with all kinds of changes in the chord structure and the tempo, and it's really all over the place. But it's really a neat song. So
it's really beautiful. Yeah, I'm a huge Mississippi John Hurt fan, and even after he dropped the Mississippi from his name and became a famous actor, I still thought he was, pretty impressive. So, anyway, thank you so much, Harvey. That was awesome. And now we'll move on to our third people here. And Olga asked me what my favorite thing about going to reunions is, why I keep doing this over and over again. And I think I said dessert, if I'm not mistaken. And that really, that's probably more true than I like it to be. But the other reason is that I get to see some amazing acts who come year after year and do their bit for the talent show. And one of my favorites, and one of everybody's favorites, is Bellas and Squat, who've been coming to reunions for a while now, and have their own act and do a lot of performing around Portland and Oregon. And I'm trying to think of the best way to introduce these guys, and I kind of feel like it's better just to spring them as a complete surprise. But I will say that I knew Gerson in a former life when we were both boring software people, and now he's like the least boring ex-software person I know. And so there's hope. I just want to send that out to everybody out there who might be working in Ruby on Rails or any other programming language. You have a chance. You can change there is hope. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys just go ahead, and we can ask about the song. I know you do a little intro onto the song anyway. So, Bellas and Squat, take it away, and do it your way.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to move the microphone closer in here so that you can see us, and we're going to mute our speakers. So we
Hang on, Olga. It sounds to me like they've been kidnapped.
It does sound like they've been kidnapped. But I think what they were saying was they were moving their microphone around. So that's probably why they sounded so muted.
Okay.
You can barely hear them.
Oh, no, that's Alan I hear.
Alan, can you hum off the first few? No, that's all right. We'll
come in closer. We're going to turn up the sound on the microphone. We're going to mute our speakers so we can't hear you, so we don't get feedback.
That sounds better.
all right.
And so we can't do if we do it, we'll do a sound check, but we can't hear you. So wave your arms or something if you can't hear us.
Is this okay right now, though?
They can't hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, mute that.
Mute that.
We
Oh, you
I
turned
tried
that
that
up.
up, yeah.
We can hear you fine.
can hear you. We can't necessarily see the both of you. So make sure the camera is.
So
pointed
here's our-
right.
You'll have to come. Here's our sound check. Can you guys hear this? Yeah?
Okay, go.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I need to be turned around this way first.
The second worst performance of My Way that I have ever heard was at the Glenwood Inn Retirement Community in Menlo Park, California. A middle-aged guy sits at the grand piano wearing a checkered sports jacket and dark glasses. The pained expression on his face tells a story of failure. His touch on the keys is heavy. His voice strains as though trying to be heard by the deaf. When he starts playing my way, I know I have a gem for my collection. When did I start collecting bad performances of my way? Shanghai. Up closer, the Peace Hotel, an Art Deco monument built in 1929 by Victor Sassoon, an English Jew of Iraqi descent. The bar was once a hangout for Charlie Chaplin and Noel Coward. Today it's a tourist attraction, the old jazz bar. A bunch of old Chinese guys are murdering a set of standards. George on my mind, somewhere over the rainbow, A train. How could the piano guy possibly play those atrocious chords on a piano that hasn't been tuned since World War II? I want to walk out, but I decide to finish. I want to walk out, but I decide to finish my obscenely expensive beer first. And then they play my way. With that song, Frank Sinatra preempted all the would-be Sinatra impersonators for all time. Frank Sinatra dared anyone to sing that song and not look like an idiot. A bad lyric. A terrible lyric.
Regrets. I've had a few. But then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption.
With any actor, you can suspend your disbelief, but it takes a great actor to just barely suspend your disbelief. Sinatra sang with absolute conviction on that razor's edge between the conceited jerk in the song and the singer's self-knowledge.
Yes, there were times I'm sure you knew when I bit off more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out.
An unflattering portrait of himself in public. He sang the hell out of it, no matter how much it hurt. Come closer, Betty. And in the Peace Hotel in Shanghai, a bunch of old guys are huffing and puffing their way through my way. And believe me, they do it their way.
Fantastic.
That is awesome. I have probably heard you guys do that a half dozen times now, and it's never ever gets old. It's but I have to ask, do you actually collect terrible versions of My Way? Are we muted here? Olga, what's... Oh. I can answer for you. I do that a lot.
I don't know. I'm thinking they're far away from their microphone again.
Okay,
Yeah.
oh, let's get closer here.
We can't hear you.
So, yeah, mentally, we collect them.
A little
I
bit,
don't
a little
actually
bit
have the
less.
singers here present in the house.
It's barely audible.
Yeah. This is
Okay,
this is
how about
what-
that? How about that? Now we're better.
Yeah, rock and roll. So yeah, so do you guys actually collect crappy versions of My Way?
Just a minute, we're getting feedback. No, don't turn that here. Let's turn this down.
Okay.
Yes, of course we do. We have the singers right here in the house. They're tied up. Some of
But
them
they
are
have masks on.
some of them are in the basement.
As long as they're wearing masks or vaccinated, that's the important
Right.
thing. Yeah. What's the absolute worst version of My Way that you know of?
Well, that one in Shanghai, that's the whole point of the song, right? I mean,
that.
is it lost on you? I'm sorry.
I was assuming you made all that stuff up as part of the.
No, that was actually
This
a real
is-
story.
All these stories are guaranteed to be true, 100% true.
Wow. Okay. I'm brought back in time to when I was working in a software office out near Beaverton and had to turn and say, "Would you shut the goddamn accordion off?" So it's all come well, and you've done well for yourselves, and I hope your parents are proud of you. And
Well,
it's an awesome version.
yeah, actually, you thought I was really straight in those days, but I had been a dropout from Reed taking acid for 9 years before I became a software engineer.
Now he tells me.
That's probably why. I mean, that's what I put on my resume. I don't know if that's how you got hired, but yeah, that's. Well, I noticed on your sign up sheet you said you wished you'd been a beat poet, so that kind of falls in line there. So that's awesome.
And I just wanted to say that I actually was a music major, believe it or not.
Oh.
And we have both gone back to college now, and we're both in the music program at PSU.
At PSU.
That's awesome, and apparently you can dress yourselves, which is better than you say for many readings.
Well, on
so.
Zoom you don't have to, but yeah.
All right, thank you so much. That
Okay.
was really, as always, awesome. Really enjoyed it.
Thank
And,
you.
Thank you.
Let's roll on here. So our next guy is Hiroshi, and I haven't seen Hiroshi for decades, and we just assumed he was dead. I just lost $20 when I saw that he was signed up here, but he's does some amazing stuff on folk music. Hiroshi, are you gonna try to scare a cat tonight?
I'm not going to try to scare a cat, but I'm certainly going to scare lots of you. And what can you say? By the way, I'm still dead.
All right.
I'm still
good.
dead.
All right.
The first dead person to participate in a reunion.
I'm sure there's a word in Runglish for that, but we'll let you roll with that. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to do.
Let's see. I was thinking about doing, well, one of the two songs about procreation, which dovetails nicely into your thesis. One about an attempt at procreation that kept on failing, that was finally overcame, and another one about too successful of a procreation that was also finally overcame. And what can I say? I'm going to do the former. This one is.
How much do we need to know about like CRISPR and mRNA transferase and stuff like that?
Nothing. This
Okay.
is a fucking old song. Nothing but fucking. I'm not a science major. I'm not a science major right now. I'm not a scientist right now.
All right. We just want to know because I didn't do the reading for this performance.
Okay. Oh no, there's absolutely no need for it for any kind of back reading. It's about the whole kind of failing at fucking. Anyway.
All right. With that, go for it, Hiroshi.
Okay. Okay. Oh, listen, you children, the story you'll hear, the song I will hear, it'll fill you with cheer. A lovely young lady was wed in the fall. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. The night of the wedding, she leapt into bed. Her breasts were heaving, her legs were well spread. She reached for his penis was small. She reached for his balls, he had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. answered the call. I marry the man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married the man who had no balls at all. Oh daughter, now don't you be surprised. Go ahead, the same problem with your dear old dad. But any young man who will answer the call of the wife of the man who has no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. So daughter, she followed her mother's advice and found the proceedings exceedingly nice. Then bouncing young baby was born in the fall to the wife of the man who had no balls at all. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. Sing it! No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. One more time. No balls at all. No balls at all. She married a man who had no balls at all. No testicles whatsoever.
Whoa. I'd like to explain that song to our younger viewers. That was awesome. I actually I have sung that song in a like a sing along. Just me and Mike Pence and his wife. We're just gathered around the campfire. He would just go on for hours with that. It was like one of his favorite, and a fly landed on his head. But that's another story. So that was awesome. Where does that song come from, Hiroshi?
Actually, well.
You're a little bit soft. Can you speak up or lean into the microphone or?
Okay. Actually, well, I mean, but then, well, this one obviously is not my original. I mean, there's an anthropologist / kind of do jack of all trades by the name of Ed Cray, who published a song, a compilation about all the bawdy songs, all the crazy songs. I can't remember the title, but if you go to any kind of library, you'll be able to find it. I mean, for musical anthropologists, for all of you, like say Barry Hansen, I think you'll be interested. And so anyway, from this book that I found by the guy by the name of Ed Cray. Anyway, here it is.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's actually I like that. That's the first time I've heard that song, but I assuming there's like sequels where one ball and two and on keep going up to like 15 or whatever. But that was awesome. So thank you very much. And,
thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, likewise. So stick around if we have room at the end, and if you want to do more stuff, that might just work out.
Okay, thank you.
So I owe my friend Susie, who's done a couple of these reunions, a gigantic apology along with Hiroshi, because I read the wrong info off the info sheet, and which is why Hiroshi was wondering why I was asking him all sorts of questions about what it's like to be named Susie, and how long he'd what kind of pinafore he usually wears and stuff like that. Susie, are you with us today?
I am indeed.
Awesome. Susie, major apologies to you. I was actually reading your stuff and asking Hiroshi about it. So I'm going to go back and ask you exactly the same questions I asked Hiroshi and see if people can tell you apart. Are you going to be disturbing a cat?
Well, the cat is already disturbed. He picked this time to start throwing up all over the place, but that can wait.
Yeah, no, it's never too early for cat vomit. That's kind of.
That's true.
What's got on it. And do you actually sing in Yiddish?
I sing in Yiddish. I don't speak it, but I try to understand it. So I do.
Like you have a repertoire of like Yiddish songs?
I do. I sing in a klezmer band. or kind of, yes.
This is where I make a joke about Isaac Bashevis Singer, but I figure you all made it already in your head, so I'm just going to let that go and rock on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to do today. Is it
Okay,
hollering?
this is, I'm going to sing a Yiddish song about the Rebbe Elimelech, and it's basically a Yiddish Old King Cole kind of thing. It's says that when the Rabbi Elimelech gets married, when he gets married, he took off his phylacteries and put on his glasses and sent for his two fiddlers. And the fiddlers fiddlingly fiddled, they did. And then when he got merrier, he sent for his two drummers. And the drummingly drummers drummed. And then when he got really merry, he sent for his cymbal players. A cymbal is like a hammered dulcimer. And so then the Rebbe Elimelech gave a big yawn and said, I don't need this, and tried to send the band home. But the drunken band gave a fig to poverty and hopped up to the ceiling and exchanged instruments, and the fiddly drummers cymbalingly fiddled and whiskily poured wine, and with bottles under their arms, they cavorted until dawn.
Basically the same plot as The Wire, if I'm hearing you correctly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do this with accompaniment because I couldn't figure out how to rig that up. So you're just going to get me.
Well, it sounds awesome. It sounds sort of like a Yiddish version of like the 12 days of Rosh Hashanah or something, kind of those building songs.
Actually, I know the 12 days of Christmas crossed with, there was an old lady who swallowed a fly in Macedonian, but that's for another reunion.
That sounds awesome. Well, take it away, Susie. Give us this.
Okay. As der Rebbe Elimelech is geworden sehr freilich, Elimelech hat ausgetan die Twillen und hat ungetan die Brillen und geschickt noch die Fiddlers, die zwei. Und die fiddelige Fiddlers haben fiddelige gefiddelt, haben sie. Die fiddelige Fiddlers haben fiddelige gefiddelt, haben sie. Und als der Rebbe Elimelech ist geworden noch mehr freilich, Elimelech hat abgemacht Havdolle mit dem Schames Reb Naftolle und geschickt noch die Peiklers, die zwei. Und die Peiklers haben Peikeldicke peikelt, haben sie. Die Peiklers haben Peikeldicke peikelt, haben sie. Und als der Rebbe Elimelech ist geworden gar stark freilich, Elimelech hat ausgetan das Kittel und hat angetan das Hittel und geschickt noch die Zimbler, die zwei. Und die zimbeldicke Zimblers haben zimbeldicke zimbelt, haben sie. Die zimbeldicke Zimblers haben zimbeldicke zimbelt, haben sie. Hat gesagt, also einen guten Genetz und gesagt, wer das schreibt mir nicht. Und geschickt die Kapelle heim. Die schickere Kapelle von Reb Melech hat ausgestellt dem Dalles a Feig. Und die freiliche Kapelle hat bis der Simeon sich verbieten, die Kaper gezeigt. Die freiliche Kapelle hat bis der Simeon sich verbieten, die Kaper gezeigt. Und die fiddelige Peikler haben ziemlich gefiedelt und Bromfede gegossen sich mit Wein. Die lustige Klesmorim mit Fläscher und den Ohren kommen geholt bis hellen Tag herein. That's it. Thank you.
Was amazing. Wow. That was fantastic,
He's
Susie.
Presbyterian too.
Did you say you don't actually speak Yiddish?
I don't speak it. I'm actually learning it now on Duolingo.
So does that mean that you learn the song phonetically, or?
Yeah, but English is Germanic, so there's a lot of words that work automatically. There's a lot of words that I know, Slavic borrowings. So it turns out that I actually know a bunch of words. I just don't know the grammar worth dreck, as we say.
It sounded awesome to me. I'm not sure how authentic it was because I did hear the word Oldsmobile twice, which makes me question it. And pretty sure there was something in there about gefilte fish too, but nonetheless.
That's a different song. I have a different song about gefilte fish.
In fact, you do, and I would love to hear that sometime. So maybe we can arrange that. But big hand for Susie, and
thank you so
amazing
much.
stuff. So
I think.
Now, if you can combine that someday with your hollerin', I think you'll have a whole new genre.
Yeah, the hollerin' would disturb the cat, who is, as I said already.
Point taken. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Susie, and we'll move along. And our next person is a 22-year-old punk named Dee Dee Wigley, and who is going to sing a song that apparently came to her while she was in, I guess it's Jemez. Did I say that right?
Mateo.
Yeah.
I was actually going to do Captain Howdy.
Oh, well, Captain Howdy totally works for me, unless it has something about a lack of testicles. We don't really do that. That's just not something we do here anymore. We did it once, that made a tradition, and then everyone chimed and said it used to be better in the old days. So tell us what Captain Howdy did not come to you in Mexico. This is something different?
Captain Howdy did not come to me in New Mexico, but Captain Howdy did just sort of arrive.
Right.
And it actually, Captain Howdy, it came before I had a smartphone. I think probably before anybody had a smartphone. And
that's 2019 for me, but keep going.
Oh, I don't know if I'm happy or sad for you, Mateo.
No one does.
But yeah, I don't even think it needs an update, although I guess I could update some references, but you'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, give us Captain Howdy then.
Okay, I'm leaving this screen, and is my sound fine?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Cool. Okay. Captain Howdy. I stand before you now, ready and able, if not willing, to spew all manner of jingle jangle forth. I'm talking the unforgettable fodder of snippets and riffs, snappy phrases, and catchy tunes from commercials, movies, TV shows, and AM radio. This nonsense is all stuck inside some storage corner in my brain, repeating like broken records or CDs skipping and faulting players. And it's not like I can shove my finger down my throat and puke it up like bad food and get rid of it, or dose myself with laxatives and get rid of it with a good long shit, because this junk is not digestible and it's not going anywhere fast. But don't get me wrong, there's lines and tunes I can't help but love. What a world, what a world. Sorry about that, Chief. I am not a crook. I could have been a contender. I'll think about that tomorrow. Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Fasten your seatbelts, we're in for a bumpy ride. What we have here is a failure to communicate. What's love got to do with it? A relationship is like a shark. Resistance is futile. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Honey, I'm home. There's no place like home. My mind is an ancient mechanism. It hasn't had time to evolve systems to separate this stuff into wheat and chaff. So what goes in, stays in, while absurdities spin, never ending in my head. But if I'm lucky sometimes, I can find the remote control in there. And if the lights are on and the batteries are fresh, I can press the mute button for blessed relief at last. But as you no doubt know yourself, if you ever go to a bank, a supermarket, or an airport these days, it takes age-old superhuman abilities like focus and consciousness to not listen, not watch, not be drawn, not get sucked. This is when you find out that mindlessness must be 1 eon older than mind. And it's not like a jukebox where you can push A7 or D5 or R19. It's more like the only options are play all, random, repeat. So I also have to live with ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. I can name that tune in 3 notes. Go ahead, make my day. My Sharona. Muskrat Susie, Muskrat Sam. It's my party and I'll cry if I want to. It's not pride, it's shake and bake and I help. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Love means never having to say you're sorry. Inagata Davida, honey. Dodge trucks are ram tough. See the USA in your Chevrolet. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I want to drink your blood. I want to be alone. I want a brave man. I want a caveman. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Have you never been mellow? They call me mellow yellow. You'll wonder where the yellow went when you brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Winston tastes good like a pop cigarette should. Us Territon smokers would rather fight than switch. You've come a long way, baby. Hasta la vista, baby. Baby, baby, baby. Oh, baby, your mother sucks cocks in hell and she's buying a stairway to heaven. We will rock you. KLIF 1190. It's all pretty much Captain Howdy, isn't it? You know, the devil when he was that invisible entity possessing Reagan's Ouija board in The Exorcist, just a seemingly harmless imaginary friend. Let's ask Captain Howdy. It's all just pretend, something generated by a game in a box. Till next thing you know, there's horrible clawing noises in the attic and you're peeing on the carpet in front of those nice guests. Then it's just a matter of time before all hell breaks loose and you projectile pea green bile vomit, speak backwards in unfamiliar tongues. Your head turns completely around on your body and desperate messages appear on your skin from the inside out. Help me. I wish I knew what to tell you. But my guess is none of us is going to live long enough for our body and brain to even begin to consider how to synthesize all this. And this is not the forest primeval. This is not a challenge to survival. This is not life or death. This is not even real. Click and drag to trash, empty now, delete. Am I sure? Yes, I am. Enough already. Badia, badia, badia. That's all, folks. Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. Good night, Chet. Good night, John Boy. Say good night, Dick. Good night, Dick. Good night, and good luck.
Wow, that was amazing. I'm not sure what the most amazing thing about that was, but my vote is that you managed to have like a zillion quotes, and yet none of them was from Repo Man. So I'm kind of stunned that I didn't know that was possible, since actually about 48% of any conversation I have consists entirely of quotes from Repo Man. But that was beautiful. So has having a phone changed your life? Are your brains leaking out? Are you on random play at all times now?
There are many things I don't do, but I play way too much solitaire. But then I realized that I grew up at the knee of a grandmother who played too much solitaire on a card table with actual cards. So, and I just wanted to shout out to you. I was elated when you mentioned Inagata Davida. And I knew that you would be reciprocally elated that I mentioned Inagata Davida.
I totally am. And I want to say that it's one of the tragedies of modern America, the 21st century, is that references to Inagata Davida are getting harder and harder to land anymore. It's frankly, if you meet a 23-year-old and you make a reference to the drum solo in Inagata Davida, they're just pretty much going to assume that you've, sprayed pea green pea all over the carpet. So pretty much that's the thing. So that's awesome. When did you write that? How old is it?
I think it's about 15 years old.
Really?
Yeah. And as I wrote you, I submitted it to a poetry slam competition, but it was a curated poetry slam. Michael Shine may have been at some of those at the Hugo House in Seattle. So you submitted a bunch of poems, and then they decided if you could partake in their slam, and I got in. And I was the first person in the doc. I had never done a slam. I'd never even seen a slam. And I went down. I started with that one because I knew my knees would shake too bad if I kept going. And I brought it on this huge, long bunch of paper, which I think worked against me because I frightened people. They knew I was going to fill the 4.5 minutes. But I learned later, and I got taken out by the crowd favorite. He was somebody that competed every year. And I learned later that the reason they pitted me against him was based on my name and the work that I submitted. They thought, as Matteo introduced me, that I was like a 22-year-old punk dude. And they thought I was just gonna like wipe this old favorite guy out. And instead I succumbed.
I still, for what it's worth, I still think of you as a 22-year-old punk dude. And that's a compliment. So,
I kind of do too.
yeah. So have you had to update it over the years?
I've never updated it. What do you all think? Does it, I mean, we're mostly of a certain age here, and I think that a lot of the references still work. I think The Exorcist will never go away. Winston Tastes Good, Territon Smokers, there are a lot of things that I don't know, but I'm keeping them. But I don't know if it, I mean, the CD player, again, when somebody said, who even knows what one is? But I think play all random repeat is probably timeless. So I don't know. If you all think that I should update, put it in a chat.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. Put it in the chat if you have an opinion about whether it should be updated or not.
Yeah,
And,
what did I miss? What favorite meme did I, and this was before memes, but it's all about memes.
Right.
Okay,
So,
thank you all.
I would say there was, I was thinking that it could be a little spicier if you had some references to General George Thomas in the Battle of Chickamauga in 1863, but you know, I say that about all poetry, so really don't do anything. You know, it was really awesome, and I think people are saying it worked really well. So thank you so much.
Thank you all.
All right, before we pop on to our next person, I want to check in with Olga and Emma and just confirm we have till 6:30. Is that right? 6:30 on the West Coast. Is that right?
We can go a little over.
Okay, I think we're fine. I'll reiterate what I said earlier because that's what reiterate means. That if we have time left over, anyone who's gone before, or more importantly, anyone who hasn't gone and wants to go, feel free to slip in. And the best way to do that is to ping Olga or Emma. But if you want to just scream, I invented skydiving in 2073, and I need to talk about that, we'll try to fit you in. So the last of our signed up performers, which is not necessarily the last of our performers, but the last of our signed up performers, is Alan Speck, who is going to do something from Gilbert and Sullivan. Is that right? And
Correct.
And
so it's 144 years new.
All right, if it's the elements, I want you to know that they've found elements since Tom Lehrer did his original, Elements song. So,
it's actually not the elements. It's much earlier, and yeah, this one isn't very well known.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try to do. I've got a piano backing on my computer, so I'm actually gonna play a little bit of it and then stop it so people can tell me how loud it is compared to me.
Yeah.
How's that?
Sounds all right.
Okay, all right. Let me take it back to the beginning. No. Let me take it back to the beginning. My name is John Wellington Wells. I'm a dealer in magic and spells, in blessings and curses, in ever-filled purses, in prophecies, witches, and knells. If you want a proud foe to make tracks, if you'd melt a rich uncle in wax, you've but to look in on the resident gin number 70 Simmery Axe. We've a first-rate assortment of magic, and for raising a posthumous shade, we've effects that are comic or tragic. There's no cheaper house in the trade. Love philter, we've quantities of it, and for knowledge, if anyone burns, we're keeping a very small profit, a prophet who brings us unbounded returns. For it can prophesy with a wink of his eye, peep with security into futurity, sum up your history, clear up a mystery, humor proclivity, for a nativity, for a nativity. He has answers oracular, boogies spectacular, tetrapods tragical, mirrors so magical, facts astronomical, solemn or comical, and if you want it, he makes a reduction on taking a quantity. Oh! If anyone anything lacks, he'll find it already in stacks, if he'll only look in on the resident gin number 70 Simeriacs. He can raise you hosts of ghosts, and that without reflectors, and creepy things with wings, and gaunt and grisly specters. He can raise you crowds of shrouds, and horrify you vastly. He can rack your brains with chains, and gibberings grim and ghastly. Then if you plan it, he changes organity with an urbanity full of satanity, vexes humanity with an insanity fatal to vanity, driving your foes to the verge of insanity. Barring tautology, in demonology, electrobiology, mystic nosology, spirit philology, high-class astrology, such is his knowledge, he isn't the man to require an apology. Oh! My name is John Wellington Wells. I'm a dealer in magic and spells, in blessings and curses, in everfit purses, and prophecies, witches, and knells. And if anyone anything lacks, he'll find it already in stacks, if he'll only look in on the resident gin. Number 70 Simeriacs.
Woo!
Bravo,
Wow.
bravo.
I actually saw you eject a vocal cord on that last note. That was right out. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Has anyone, that seems like the sort of song, well, first of all, I have to ask, how did you get into like Gilbert and Sullivan? I think I have this image of like everybody else getting into like Megadeth and Anthrax, and you're like, here's a very interesting song about a colonel.
Okay. My father, class of 53, used to say I was a throwback and he should have. And,
So
partly it's also a Reed tradition. My parents were active in Gilbert and Sullivan when they were at Reed in the 50s.
Okay.
And I was raised going to Gilbert and Sullivan at the University of Chicago. So also I like things that are old and outre.
Old and?
Outre.
Yeah.
Abstruse.
I'm halfway there.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I can't, you know, when you hear songs that are that lyrically complex, it makes me wonder anyway, if anyone has ever tried to translate that stuff into other languages. I mean, I'm pretty sure, I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure that's actually what Susie performed. It was pretty much the same song, only in Yiddish. But do you know, are there translations of Gilbert and Sullivan?
I honestly don't know. I wouldn't be terrifically surprised. I'm actually now going to have to look into that.
It just seems like you get like 14 syllables in and go, that's it, screw it. You're on your own, Hawaiians.
Especially the fast patter songs. My favorite is the one in Ruddy Gore, where the lyric literally is, this particularly rapid, unintelligible patter isn't generally heard, and if it isn't, doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, the translator would have a very easy time with that, actually. Just kind of, yeah, work out. Anyway, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I see that we have someone else who's signed up, and we're very lucky because this is one of the my favorite performers in general, and also one of the funniest people I've ever met. I've only met 6 people in my life. Most of them were in a coma. It was a group coma. It's kind of an interesting thing, but despite that, he's still one of the funniest and most wonderful people I know. And I'll just say that this is Paul Anderson, and I ran into Paul a few weeks ago, I guess, maybe a month or so ago. And on the streets of San Francisco, it turns out that we live pretty close to each other. And it was an amazing experience because he was just surrounded by groupies and fans and stands and hangers on, and a gigantic entourage. It was, I got like 30 seconds with him before his bodyguards kicked me to the curb. An amazingly popular guy, and with good reason. Paul, are you with us? What are you going to do?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can.
I've not attempted to do this. I haven't actually attempted to sing or play into a Zoom conference.
And it's the first
Also,
time you've ever touched a musical instrument too. So it's kind of
basically this whole, pandemic, like 14 months to stay home and like record music and, be artful and productive and everything. Yeah, didn't happen. My last minute art project's going to be like a Girl Scout merit badge of made no art during pandemic.
and hopefully in the shape of a face
I didn't
mask.
even defeat my clutter. I mean, there's a reason the camera's pointing towards the window, even though it means I'm backlit.
Hopefully Marie Kondo will be showing up. So we'll give that a shot.
Oh no, I
Anyways,
live in an
Paul,
apartment. Oh, that's not what you said. Okay.
So what have we got?
Yeah, I had this whole idea, by the way. So what Matteo said is true. We live walking distance from each other, like a uphill walk, but and we only see each other at Reed for reunions or on the occasional train down around Stanford. It's the Alcatraz problem that when something is so like conveniently potentially close by, you never actually get around to doing it. Yeah. So say like doing Matteo. I mean, anyways, I even had this notion. So Matteo, I did get your email, by the way, late because my old school provider went off for a week. I had this notion of going up to Matteo's house and broadcasting from another room there. So we looked like we were from different, from our different locations. But then I'd get into an argument with them near the end and be like, okay, boomer, which would be funny because, both of us are wrinkly old guys, but I'd still be appropriately calling him okay, boomer. And then I would like leave my camera and like, show up in his and like give him a giant wedgie and pull a gigantic, like, depends out of his pants. So anyways, that's something to look forward to.
So yeah, I was going to say, basically we all have a reason to show up for next year's reunion talent show.
So the song I'm going to attempt to do, this is a song that I wrote back in 1918. And try to imagine this. There was a worldwide deadly global pandemic. And basically, if you wanted to stay alive, you kind of had to stay either, shut inside your, your home or your abattoir or your, coal scuttle factory orphanage, as things were back then. The one difference was that we named our diseases a little more romantically. So instead of being like, COVID-19, it was the Spanish flu. That sounds like a lover who comes, sneaks up in the night. So here's my song about the Spanish flu. You are more than just a nurse, dear. You're an angel heaven sent. Every night as I got worse here in the influenza tent, you've been saying I'm contagious, but I'm not the only one. Let me tell you for the ages, in case my time is done. You're the ointment on my bunion. You're the compress for my flu. If my chances aren't worth 1 yen, you alone will pull me through. Though I want to give you roses, all I got's tuberculosis. And this geyser where my nose is glows faithfully for you. You're the salt on my verrucas. You're the plasters on my spine. When the bed sores hit my tuchus, you were there with iodine. I may look like I've been gutted, but you'll find I'm still warm-blooded. When my lungs are not so flooded, I will ask you to be mine. I have arms that long to hold you. I have legs that long to kneel. I have one more proud appendage that expresses how I feel. So if you, my dear, have patience and keep up my medications, so I get no amputations, they'll be yours if I should heal. They'll be yours if I should heal.
great as usual, and timely if we ever invent a time machine and go back to 1918. So that's, you know.
I don't think we have to go back that far. In fact, I don't think you have to go back in time at all.
Yeah, probably 1919 would be
Yes.
good
Now,
enough.
now you all have that just in time for the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th waves.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Paul,
By the way,
the
thank
whole,
you,
you
Reed,
know,
for making coffee mugs that are like big enough for my needs.
I'll get back to President Bragdon about that as soon as I have a chance. Awesome stuff. Confidential to Paul in San Francisco. I think the whole ointment, the ointment on my bunions, starting to see why the people at The Bachelor have never called you back. But we can discuss this later. Anyway, awesome stuff, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brilliant as always. We have a couple of people who have signed up at the last moment, which is awesome. Olga, am I right in thinking that if we go a little bit over, the Earth will not, in fact, implode?
It's awesome. Keep it going.
Yeah, so this is awesome. So I see that someone from 1971 named Garrett Beck has signed up to tell a short story. Is that right, Garrett? Are you with us? Sorry, I
think I've unmuted.
Awesome. Sorry, my voice is kind of going out. I had sex last year and it's just still recovering. So you have a short story for us?
Yes, indeed. This story was written at the ski lodge, at the Reed College Ski Lodge in 1972. Okay. And it's a kind of collectively written story. And it has one, like all good, very short stories, it has a moral at the end, but I'm going to leave the moral unsaid for all of you to figure out for yourselves. Are we ready?
Yeah, I think we are. You got yourself 5 minutes to deliver a moral.
Once, there was a young girl who found a wand that had been lost by a magician. With it, she made a magic horse, and she climbed on, and she rode out of her little backyard and down to the plaza and around, and she waved at the shopkeepers, and she waved at her friends, and she waved at the teachers and the pals she knew in the boot shop and the vegetable stand, and she rode out around the town, and she came to the houses of her friends and their gardens, and she waved to all of them. And then she rode past the orchards and past the fields of grain, and she rode up into the forest. And in the forest, she went up higher and higher up into the hills above the town. She could look down, and the people, they were small. And she rode higher and higher up into the mountains, and it got rocky. And she rode up on the rocks higher and higher. She looked down at the town now, and the people were as small as ants. And when she got to the very tippy top of the mountain where the horse could go no further, it spread its wings and it flew over the great water, far, far, far away, until she came to the land of Telnot, which is where the magician lived. And he pulled them in with chimney smoke. They landed before him. He said, stroking his beard. You, he said to the young girl, must give me back my wand, but you may keep your horse. And that's exactly what she did. Thank you.
All right. How about Olga? What do you think? Should we have people write what they think the moral is? You can put it in the chat. Does that seem like
that's awesome? Idea? Yeah.
Let me.
I'm just going to lead by saying what I think the moral is that drugs are pretty powerful.
Let me say this, that was a fabulous week up at the ski cabin. And there was a lot of creative, collective. This story was a collectively written piece. And I want to give a shout out to Karen McPherson, class of 71, who also contributed some of the lines to that story.
Awesome. Yeah, it actually read pretty well. And you usually, collective stories don't do that well. One person, usually named Mateo, goes off in a really weird direction. The story doesn't work. So so people, if you have what you think the moral of the story is, and please don't everyone write, be yourself, because that's for the next story. So if you have your idea of what it is, put it in the chat, please. And whoever gets it right will win the next 3 minutes of Zoom to watch whatever anyone else is doing. So awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Garrick. That was great. We have a couple of more people who have signed up at the last minute. I think we have Susan. Is that right? Susan Swerdlow, who's going to do
Let's
the
see if
Alma
Susan's ready yet. Susan
Okay.
has this great idea and she needs to sign on 2 computers in order to do it.
Okay. Well, fortunately, while we're waiting for her to do that, I can show slides of my gallbladder operation and then some stuff about.
Oh no, I'm gonna cut in on that.
Oh, really? Because it's kind of fascinating. There were a lot of problems with the thing. So anyway, no, that's good. Whenever you're ready, we can do this. Now, you're going to be doing the alma mater song. Is this right?
Yeah, I would like everybody to sing this with me if you can sing it in this key. And I'm going to sing it at the Class of 70 event. I'm going to lead it at the Class of 70 event next Friday. So I figured, what the heck? I just decided on the spur of the moment, I've been practicing it, so I may as well lead you in it.
That sounds awesome. I'd like to ask anybody who actually graduated from Lewis and Clark, please leave the room. You're not allowed to hear this.
And many of you probably know that this is to the tune of Fair Harvard, which is very interesting. The words were written right after the founding of Reed by Foster, the president of Reed at that time. So you're invited to sing. Again, it's kind of high, but I'm going to share my screen if I get permission to do that. And you'll see the host has disabled participant screen sharing, so I can't share my screen.
Olga, do we need to do something? So I assume other people here know the tune and can sing along. Is that the idea? But everyone has to be muted. Unfortunately, sing-alongs just don't work on Zoom at all.
Yeah. That's right. You do have to be muted, but you can enjoy singing with me in the privacy of your whatever you were in.
You know what? I would say just go ahead. And if we manage to get the lyrics up, that would be great. Otherwise,
Susan, you should be able to share your screen now.
I'm doing it.
Sweet. Thank you.
I'm doing it. There it is. Do you see it?
Okay. Well,
this is high, so if you want to sing alto or bass, go ahead.
Go for it. Take it away, Susan.
I will sing the verses 1 and 3, and please sing with me. Please enjoy. I'll try to scroll as I sing. Here we go. That's the first note. 1, 2, 3. All hail, alma mater, newborn of the West, where the mighty Columbia flows. Thou fortunate heir of the pioneer's quest, all hail to the griffin and rose. Thou wilt cherish thine own through woe and through weal. Thou wilt throw on the pathway a light, never dimming the truth through a partisan zeal, never doubting the triumph of right. Verse 3. When our steps have o'ertaken the beckoning years, though we've wandered afar from thy halls. Returning, we'll share all thy hopes and thy fears, and give heed to thy summoning calls. In the strength of maturity, then we shall bring grateful hearts and forget not thy need. Worthy tribute we'll lay at thy feet as we sing to thee, alma mater, fair Reed.
Okay. If you could stop sharing, that would be great.
Sure, yeah.
Not a problem. Well, Hiroshi, turns out you were wrong. The Reed alma mater song was not No Balls at All. So that's something, we learned something today. That is awesome. There was a word in there that I did not recognize, and I've been doing crossword puzzles since, I don't know, probably 4:30 this afternoon. What is mead? M-E-E-D?
I was going to look it up before Friday. Who knows what it means?
Do we know? Does anybody know what mead? That's
I have
Mike Echo. What's D? I've forgotten D all of a sudden. Gamma Delta. Mike Echo Delta.
Oh,
I'm gonna guess it's a subspecies of South African rat. Just seems like it fits the song.
Dee has it. It is a fitting reward.
Oh.
It is not a drink. It is a fitting reward.
It's not a drink.
Okay.
It's not one. Anyway.
I mean, it can be both. It can be a drink and a fitting reward.
That sounds like a floral wax and a dessert topping. So yeah, it could maybe work that way. Anyway, awesome. I've never heard that song before. I did not, in fact, know that Reed had an alma mater song. And now I feel like I went to a real college. That's kind of cool.
Olga just asked if I can share the music. I don't have an actual link for it at the moment, but Olga, Rachel Gowland has it.
Okay, I'll ask Rachel.
She has a really huge file, which is like grayscale, and my partner made it not as huge. So I can send that to you if you want.
Don't worry, I'll get it from Rachel and we'll share it with people.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
We have one more person signed up, and then I'd like you to stick around. We normally do a traditional sign-off sing-along. We can't actually sing along except in the privacy of our own homes or hovels or tents or wherever we happen to be. So hopefully you'll stick around and at least mouth the words as we do that. That's the one, Paul. So we're going to do one last person. We have John Hudson, who's going to do a story. He's from 1952. His story is made entirely of cliches, which is, I guess, whatever. Sorry, I was trying to come up with a cliche and unable to do it. John, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine. So a story made up of cliches. Did you write this?
I did not. It was written by my wife, Sandra.
Oh.
Some years ago, we belonged to a writers group that we started in 1999. It's still going here in Iowa City, which is a writers' city. It's a UNESCO City of Literature. And one of the members, about 15 years ago, he was an early member, and he was we called him the cliche police because he was always waiting to pounce if somebody included a cliche in one of their stories. So finally, Sandra decided to retaliate, and she wrote this story for him made entirely of cliches. Are you ready?
And how did he respond? Hopefully he said something like, wow, that's better than a, I don't know, long-tailed cat in a rocking chair factory. I got nothing here.
I think he sort of huffed and puffed. He was sort of a curmudgeon.
Well, then he's got his just rewards. That's a mead. by the way, if everyone wants to know what that is. That's a me, Just Resorts. I knew that all along. John, give us some cliche.
Okay. When All Is Said and Done by Sandra Hudson. He was as cool as a cucumber with that lean and hungry look. You know the kind. You wouldn't touch him even if you had a 10-foot pole. Butter wouldn't melt in his mouth, yet he was the apple of her eye. She fell for him, look, hook, line, and sinker. That may smell fishy, but that's the way it was. She was a salty broad. In the comedy of errors, which was her life, she was in over her head in uncharted waters. They soon found themselves in the same boat, up the creek without a paddle. It was a foregone conclusion that they would always be between a rock and a hard place, never able to get squared away. Then, as fate would have it, one dark and stormy night, as quick as lightning, a bolt out of the blue shattered the calm before the storm, stealing his thunder. He was left with the uncanny realization that he was an albatross around her neck. The ill winds had left no stone unturned. The revelations staggered the imagination. If the truth be told, then and there, in the depths of despair, she decided without further ado to throw caution to the winds. No longer caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, no longer the hapless victim, she swam a straight and narrow course and rode the 9th wave to success. So there you have it in a nutshell. Perhaps I have bitten off more cliches than I can chew, but I think you'll agree this is an auspicious beginning for a runaway bestseller. With good fortune, this gripping page-turner may sell like hotcakes. For that I have Bob Watchell to thank. Bob Watchell was our critic. Let's go straight to the heart of the matter. Not to mince words, it's clear to see his pet peeve gave me food for thought. Make no bones about it. For right or for wrong, he had an axe to grind. Yet I'm led to believe, without his agonizing appraisal of each cliche, my creative juices might have dried up. You can bet your bottom dollar this great novel would have come to a grinding halt and never seen the light of day. This may sound like sour grapes, yet I can assure you you're wrong. Mark my words, this was sure to happen sooner or later. Someone would make him eat crow, so why not me? So, Robert, opportunity knocks for an epic-making decision. This is a page turner, all right? That's why I'm turning the page. Feel as free as a bird to make the clean breast of things. Know the white feather. And even if it sticks in your craw, bend over backwards to sing praises for the true blue cliche. It could be a feather in your cap. Timing is everything. As luck would have it, I was in the right place at the right time. As a member of a motley crew of writers, unceremoniously called the Greyhawks, I was frequently subjected to Watchell, that's his name, critiques of the cliche. When all is said and done, I decided his criticisms didn't hold water. They were off the wall. The naked truth is, I know that's easier said than done. It's interesting to note, when you come right down to it, the odds are we will all breathe a sigh of relief when we no longer find it necessary to burn the midnight oil, searching for a few well-chosen words that will hit the spot, while at the same time avoiding cliches at all cost. I have it from a usually reliable source that you are likely to disagree. So be it. It's as clear as day I'm right, so there is nothing left but to agree to disagree. I rest my case. The end.
Wow, awesome. How long did it take her to write that?
I don't think I wanted to talk.
I think it probably took her part of a day.
That was, did she have like a reference book of, handy American cliches that she could, look things up in?
Well, this was written so long ago, 12, 15 years ago. I can't remember, but since she is a writer, and we all know cliches, I think she wrote them all down and then strung them together to make a narrative that made some sense.
Yeah, it worked out really well. The thing about, I don't know about anyone else here, but for me, I am constantly discovering that old sayings and truisms and common phrases, that I've been saying them wrong all my life. Something like, I don't know, the sells like hotcakes. It's like he fell like horse flakes, and somebody comes along and says, you realize that makes no sense, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, you got a point there anyway.
But somehow it has the ring of familiarity.
That's all I ask out of life anymore, is the ring of familiarity. This is what happens when you sign up for early onset dementia. So yeah, that's awesome. So thank you so much. That was great. I want to ask people not to leave quite yet. We do want to do one group thing if we can. Again, it'll have to be muted, but it is part of our tradition. As you know, a read tradition is something that's happened twice, and the third time somebody complains that it used to be better in the old days. So we're going to try to do that, and I'll lead us in that. You can sing along at home. But before we do that, I want to take a moment to have people, hopefully, if you're to unmute and or possibly in the chat, give a huge, big thank you to Olga and Emma for putting this all together, for running it, for going insane trying to deal with the host, who is a known maladroit person. So thank you so much, Olga and Emma. You guys are awesome. Every year you do an amazing job, and you deserve great thanks. So thank you so much. And
thanks for the MC.
Oh, well, thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Author.
It's always a great pleasure, and I always discover amazing talents by readies that I've been insulting for decades. So the amazing talent. So awesome stuff. All right, so traditionally we end with a song. As I say, I've been doing
muskrat love.
We usually end with muting Paul, actually, is what generally happens. But there's a particular song that we end with.
Wait, that's not.
No, Paul, I would like to point out, Paul, that I know where you live. Literally, I know where you live. So yeah. So we finish this off every year with a tradition. As Olga said, I've been doing this for at least 12 years. I think it may be closer to 20 at this point, because I think the earliest pictures of me doing it showed me with hair. So it's at least a long time ago. And we just have been finishing it off every year with this song. Again, we'll have to do it muted, but if you don't mind singing along, it's a song from the 70s. A lot of people, you probably know it. It was a big hit. And it's a song that if you heard back then, probably meant a lot to you, and it probably has stayed with you. And just is one of those things that gets into your brain and really maintains its importance and its value to you. So I'm just gonna sing it, and hopefully you guys can sing along. Angie, you got a muskrat on your face. Angie, want to do a verse? Does anyone want to just sing a solo? You got a muscat on your face. 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 Oh yeah, now Angie. Take it, Paul.
Got a muskrat on your face. Give me 1 second.
Anyway, that's how we usually end ours. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again in person. We'll all be able to hold up our lighters or our cell phones or our short stories or whatever we have. Paul's going to be, he usually tries to play that cat. It never ends well. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for showing up. It's really wonderful to see all the talent that everybody has and just to have so many great Reedy friends. And hopefully we'll do this again next year. Thanks again to Olga and Emma. And I think that's it for 2021. Rock on.